Hello, Senior Corps. I'm here with Senior Corps Director Dr. Erwin, and we are thrilled to welcome all of you to our third annual virtual conference. Whether a foster grandparent, a senior companion, an RSVP volunteer, or a leader from one of our many grantee organizations, the next 2 days are going to offer an incredible opportunity to learn about ways to strengthen our programs and deepen our engagement. And I'm very excited that we're having this conversation digitally. Our dynamic, interactive virtual conference is going to allow all of you to get engaged no matter where you live or serve. And contrary to what many people may think, this conference affirms what we have known for a while. Many seniors are already connected online, and these numbers are growing. In fact, since the year 2000, the number of American seniors who go online is up nearly 60%. That's incredible. And nearly half of digitally connected seniors are using social media sites like Facebook. Some of you have had a chance to put your tech-savvy skills to use earlier during our self-guided tour of our conference's virtual space. Our team has done a tremendous job organizing our third virtual conference, and I'm really getting excited for us to get started. But first, Dr. Tan and I want to take a few minutes to lay out the next 2 days. We'll share our vision for how we can work together in the coming months and years to make Senior Corps even stronger. Is that okay? I'm feeling the digital Senior Corps love, so I will take those mouse clicks as a resounding yes. So let me start by saying thank you. Thank you for answering the call to continue serving. Older Americans have a tremendous wealth of experience keeping seniors engaged so that we can harness your talents to tackle our challenges and lift up our communities is one of the most important things our agency and our government can do. Simply put, engaging older Americans is not something that is nice to do. It's absolutely essential to improving outcomes for families, for young people, and for whole communities. At the Corporation for National and Community Service, we also understand that before you can engage more Americans of all ages in service, you have to invite them to serve. That invitation is often most effective when it comes from seniors who have the trust of younger generations and can speak with authority. So when I look at the trends that tell us that our nation is aging, I'm really get excited about it. Recently, the U.S. Census Bureau published its report, An Aging Nation, which projects that by the year 2050, the population aged 65 and over will be about 83.7 million Americans, almost double the number of seniors we have today. Really exciting. That's an incredible opportunity to engage seniors, to learn from seniors, and to use their skills and experience to help younger generations. The second thing I want to say now that I have thanked you is this. Your job is not done yet, not by a long shot. We have so much to learn from you, and we have so much work that is only possible if we have our seniors fully engaged in helping to strengthen our communities. I'm reminded of a trip I took recently to New Orleans, where I met some seniors who are taking their passion for service and truly changing lives. And one individual who particularly stood out for me was Grandma Leola Smith. She serves as a foster grandparent at a Head Start program. Young Caleb is one of the boys she works with. When Grandma Leola met Caleb, he would not speak. Not to fellow students, not to teachers, not to anyone. But after a short 5 weeks with Grandma Leola working very closely alongside Caleb, Caleb will actually, she said, not stop talking. In fact, Caleb has gotten into trouble for talking out of turn in class. A complete turnaround, all because a caring adult took an interest and invested time in young Caleb. She may not have had formal training, but Grandma Leola brings another layer of experience that makes a difference in a child's life. She also has a tremendous heart for service, and with the love and patience, Grandma Leola changed Caleb's life for the better. I'm also reminded of a trip I took to Colorado back in February, where I got to serve alongside some Senior Corps RSVP volunteers in the SHOP program. SHOP, Seniors Helping Other People. Love that name. Simply called SHOP because they're doing this, creating safer homes for residents by installing ramps and doing repairs. Well, I guess I need to really come clean a little bit. They actually were working, and I was mostly watching, and very impressed. I did pass some boards around, but they were doing all the hard work. Nevertheless, it was an amazing experience. Here were seniors devoting their time to building ramps for their neighbors who otherwise would not have been able to leave their homes. What an incredible gift of time and talent. These are the kinds of stories that I take all across the country, and they are the kinds of stories that I talk about to citizen leaders, to mayors, to governors, and in particular to members of Congress. Telling them how last year nearly 300,000 youth from disadvantaged circumstances were mentored through RSVP and foster grandparent programs really makes me proud. Or how you were on the ground responding to disasters. I talk about the tens of thousands of hours our Senior Corps volunteers have devoted in Oklahoma and in other states to help communities rebuild in the wake of disasters, and I have seen this firsthand. So now that I've thanked you and told you that we still need you, I want to say this. We need to engage even more seniors in service. And one of the best ways to do this is to make sure that we are telling our stories effectively, and that begins with good branding. Senior Corps is at the vanguard of a national service movement. So whether we are educating children in New Orleans, Louisiana, or supporting disabled Americans in Denver, Colorado, or helping communities rebuild in Moore, Oklahoma, we must make sure that we are connecting the dots for our partners and our neighbors so they understand that all of this is the vital work that's being driven by national service. That is why we're making 2014 the year of the S. And we have created all our new materials branded with our iconic Senior Corps letter S. I think it's especially fitting since in 2014, we are now celebrating the 40th anniversary of Senior Companion. I would encourage all of you leaders to ensure that all volunteers wear their S every day, whether they are serving in the field and even when they are with their fellow volunteers, wear your S. Another way to engage more seniors in service is by expanding existing programs that bring seniors together in service with younger generations. Programs like the Jumpstart program, which brings AmeriCorps members and Senior Corps volunteers together in service. In Los Angeles, Jumpstart brings together more than 600 Senior Corps volunteers and AmeriCorps members to serve in 92 classrooms, helping over 1,800 preschool-aged children learn to read at or above grade level. Really amazing. One of the central pillars of the President's new My Brother's Keeper initiative is to push all of us to connect more young Americans with good, caring adult mentors. And again, here is an area where many of our Senior Corps volunteers are already serving. Your work is central to everything our agency does, and your service is indispensable in an ongoing effort to empower more Americans today and for generations to come. I thank you so much for your service. It's very important, and it's making a difference throughout our nation. Now I want to turn things over to Dr. Erwin Tan, who will highlight some of the exciting sessions we have planned for you. Erwin?
Thank you, Wendy, for your comments, for joining us today, but most importantly, for your ongoing support of Senior Corps. I want to echo what you said today, and thank you all for recruiting, training, and supervising our volunteers. In the best of times, managing a federal grant can be challenging, but in these tough budget times and during times of changing regulations, all of you, foster grandparent, RSVP, and senior companion directors have been stalwart in your support of our volunteers and the program. I also want to say happy anniversary to the Senior Companion program. For 40 years, your programs have been making a difference. This morning, I want to take a few minutes to share a couple of new updates and tell you about some things that are coming up. July marks the beginning of my 5th year as the Director of Senior Corps. In 2011, when I had an opportunity to speak to a group of you at the 2011 National Conference, I said that I believe that you can compete and compete successfully. Well, you have competed successfully, and we're now in the middle of our 3rd class of RSVP grant competitions. I know it was hard work, and as the parent of 2 children, I understand that it's not always fair to be the oldest, but the grantees that have now successfully competed have paved the way for all of us. So I say thank you. I also said that I believe in the ability of all the programs to implement national performance measures. For the first time, we have national performance measures from the 2013 Senior Corps grantees. I know that the performance measures are not easy. We recognize this, and we're trying to simplify them. We're also going to try to develop new training materials. However, please know that performance measures are there to elevate the great service that you and your volunteers do every day. But we're not only focusing on the impact of volunteering, we're also focusing on the benefits to the volunteers. We're in the process of releasing findings from our foster grandparent and senior companion studies. Through these findings, you will learn about the racial and ethnic makeup of our volunteers and an analysis of the self-reported health outcomes. Our goal is to publicize this all in a scientific journal. Our next step is to survey the RSVP volunteers. We're randomly selecting a small group of grantees and will soon know who's volunteering in what activity. There's one more thing that we need to focus on, and that's the challenge of criminal history checks. I know that we all take the safety of our volunteers and the people they serve very seriously. Therefore, we've asked you all to double check, make that triple check, that you are in compliance with the criminal history check requirement. For example, this means the following people need a criminal history check. Any individual receiving a stipend, such as a foster grandparent volunteer or senior companion volunteer. Any individual receiving a salary through a Senior Corps grant, which means most of you in the audience. So every FGP, SCP, and RSVP grant staff position, regardless of whether the individual is on the federal or required non-federal share of the budget. Finally, these rules also apply to our Senior Corps Demonstration Authority grants and the staff and the stipend volunteers. I know that some of you have questions, so I'm going to ask you all to participate in our Senior Corps Town Hall that starts today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to talk more about criminal history checks then. And for all of you who don't have any questions about criminal history checks, I'm still asking you to attend the Senior Corps Town Hall. I've heard too many stories of grantees who thought they were in compliance, who wanted to be in compliance, but were not in compliance when the monitoring visit occurred. The Senior Corps Town Hall will also have information on a new development, the Omnibus Circular. Now I want to echo something else that Wendy mentioned. Senior Corps is at the vanguard of a national service movement. As such, we must tell a better national service story. Telling the story begins with a good Senior Corps brand. So whether we're telling the story in person or in print, we have to connect to the Senior Corps and National Service brand. Wendy mentioned that 2014 is the year of the S. I want to take this a step further and say that for 2014 and beyond, it will remain the year of the S. We will now have the national performance measures that will give us the data to demonstrate the value of our programs. But again, to really tell your story, you have to connect that data to the national S. Senior Corps is providing you with new marketing and PR materials that properly brand your programs. You can order these materials free of charge from our National Service Publication website. Also, check out the Office of External Affairs exhibit booth. We will be supporting your efforts through a redesigned Senior Corps Facebook page to share your news and stories. We invite you to post news about your volunteers, your partners, or any new initiatives that you've developed. We will also use the National Service Tumblr blog to tell about your impact through branded photos, videos, and other graphics. And following this virtual conference, I will begin to use our Gov delivery system to periodically share targeted information to our grantees and sponsor organizations. Finally, I want to say thank you once again. You make it possible for our volunteers to succeed. I also want to thank the folks who made this conference possible. We have a great conference with a depth and breadth of material that's outstanding. So welcome to the Senior Corps Virtual Conference. And don't forget to join our Senior Corps Town Hall at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.